Greetings, citizens of the world. Last week, President Trump ordered the end of DACA, an unconstitutional Obama-era program that protected 800,000 people who were in our country illegally, from deportation. Of course, soon after President Trump signed the order to repeal this program, the left went into a full meltdown, screaming how racist Trump was. Instead of the left stopping and doing a bit of research into the new plan, these leftists began to plan protests on America's most sober day. The DACA situation has been an ongoing saga that President Trump has had thrust onto his lap. This entire debacle started back in 2007 with the DREAM Act bill, which would have provided a pathway for permanent residency for unauthorized immigrants brought to the United States. These illegal immigrant children would have to meet certain qualifications outlined by the bill and was being considered by Congress. However, it failed to overcome a bipartisan filibuster in the Senate and was considered again in 2011. The bill successfully passed the House, but it could not get the 60 votes needed to overcome a Republican filibuster. So, again in 2013, legislation was being written that would reform the entire immigration system, allowing Dreamers permission to stay in the country. The bill then passed the Senate but could not be brought up into the House for a vote, which caused the inevitable DACA debacle. Instead of Obama telling Congress to do its job and reach a compromise, Obama wrote an executive order that usurped the Constitution. Which brings us to present day and President Trump's decision to repeal DACA and hand it back to Congress for a compromise. Trump promised during his campaign that he would repeal the unconstitutional order so that Congress can do their job. However, the uneducated liberals would rather pitch a fit and spread half-truths. So, in response, a protest was planned on the Las Vegas Strip over the weekend to rally against Trump's decision to end DACA. Hundreds of people gathered today in front of the Trump Hotel in Las Vegas in an attempt to urge state lawmakers to protect young illegal immigrants from deportation. These protesters believe there are about 13,000 people in Nevada that benefit from the DACA program, and they promise they will do everything in their power to protect it. However, this was not the first protest planned. In fact, on the day that Trump said that he would end the unconstitutional program, protests popped up all over the country. Here is more from NBC San Diego. Immigrants and activists around the country took to the streets Tuesday for the second day of protests in reaction to the Trump administration's decision to end an Obama-era program that has shielded nearly 800,000 young people from deportation. Outside the White House, where 300 to 400 demonstrators gathered earlier Tuesday, protesters yelled shame. As Attorney General Jeff Sessions announced the administration would rescind the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program, which protects those brought into the country illegally as children. The administration is giving DACA a 6-month delay to give Congress time to decide if it wants to address the status of the law. Demonstrators in the nation's capital marched from the White House to Trump Hotel, chanting, "Stop, stop deportation. No more family separation," before making their way to the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement headquarters. In New York City, about 400 protesters marched to Trump Tower in Manhattan, and police handcuffed over a dozen activists who staged a sit-in on Fifth Avenue, briefly blocking traffic. Later in the day, thousands marched across the Brooklyn Bridge, NBC New York reported. There were more than 40 arrests, officials said. Hundreds of teachers and students demonstrated outside Metro State University in Denver and elsewhere in Colorado to denounce the decision and demand that Congress act. In New Mexico, students across the most Hispanic state in the U.S. participated in a massive walkout Tuesday. Hundreds of people marched in the streets of downtown Los Angeles protesting the decision to rescind DACA. Scores of workers and community members participated, including janitorial workers, airport service workers, community leaders, local youth leaders and members of the clergy, according to the Service Employees International Union. Protesters held posters Tuesday evening and chanting, "Hey, hey, ho, ho, Donald Trump has got to go and our communities are under attack. What do we do? Stand up. Fight back." Rallies also took place in other major cities, including Boston, Chicago, Louisville, San Diego, the Bay Area, and Philadelphia. Former President Barack Obama condemned the Trump administration's decision, calling it cruel and self-defeating. "Let's be clear, the action taken today isn't required legally," Obama wrote in a Facebook post. "It's a political decision and a moral question. Let's be clear, Barack Obama, your executive order was unconstitutional and needed to be reversed. There is no reason that these dreamers cannot apply for citizenship if they want to be in America so bad. No one is blaming the young kids for what their parents did, which is why a solution must be made." When Obama signed DACA into law, he created more problems which are a direct result of his plan to fundamentally